Hi guys, Steph here, and what we've got for you today is yet another gorgeous pen. Can you recognise which one it is? Yes? No? Well, what we've got for you here is an absolutely stunning example of the Swan 1500 eyedropper fountain pen. These pens I am dating, well, it's not a vintage pen. I would actually say that it's actually an antique fountain pen because I'm dating it around about the 1915s. So, well, as you can know, that's over 100 years old, so it's an antique fountain pen. As I say, it's a Swan fountain pen. Now, first of all, let's give you the size. From the top of the cap to the bottom of the barrel, it's approximately 136 millimeters capped. Around the barrel, it's a nice slim sort of 10 millimeters in diameter. And as you can see, it comes in this beautiful black hard rubber. As with a lot of these pens, the slip cap is quite it's a plain, smooth cap. But once you actually get onto the barrel, you'll notice it's got this lovely sort of chasing pattern to it, this chevron sort of pattern, if you like. And what you'll notice, obviously, we've got two gold bands. Now, when I say gold bands, they're not actually marked solid gold, so they may be gold plated. Now, they actually may be gold, solid gold, but they're not actually marked. Now, the reason I'm saying that is that they're in absolutely beautiful condition. There's no wear, there's no brassing to the bands. So it's rather been very well looked after, or these bands are actually solid gold. But they're not marked, so for all intents and purposes, we're just going to say that they're actually gold plated, but in absolutely beautiful condition. Now let's show you the barrel imprint, and you'll see it says Swan pen, and underneath it has maybe Todd and Company Limited, and then underneath that made in England. So it's got a lovely clear imprint, as you can see there. What it also has, to the very sort of bottom of the barrel, I don't know if it's going to be clear for you, it actually has a number which is a little bit on the worn side. I can see 612, but it actually may have had a 1 before the 6. So it may be 1612, I'm not sure. And then just below that, hopefully you can see that it actually says medium, or MED. Now I'm assuming these numbers here relate to the nib. I'm not 100% sure, so if you know the answer, let me know. To the cap there, as I say, a very smooth cap. There's no chasing. You'll see it's got the Swan logo, and then nice and clearly underneath, there you go, you can see it's got the 1500, the model number. So all in all, absolutely stunning pen. I fully restored it, fully cleaned it, etc. So as you'd expect, in beautiful condition. It's a slip cap, as we said earlier. Let's do you a twirl of the pen. Absolutely lovely, and again, not vintage, but definitely antique. You can see it's got this quite a long section to the very top there, and if I turn it round slightly, I'm hoping we can actually see that. But to the bottom of the section there, you'll see it says Swan, and then once again, just after the Swan there, you should see it says 1500. So again, marked on the section. So this long tapered section like so. Now let's take you to the nib here. Whether this is the original nib to this pen, I am not 100% sure, because I am aware that these early pens had an over and under feed to them, but this one doesn't have that. But what it actually has is a Swan No. 1 14 carat gold nib, maybe Todd and Company, made in England. So it's a No. 1 Swan nib. Again, there's a sideways view, and if we take you underneath there, you can see it's got this very recognisable Swan comb feed underneath there, like so. And again, if you look very closely underneath the feed, you can see the word Swan. So once again, well, in all intents and purposes, it may be the original nib, because once after a particular period, I'm not exactly 100% sure, I believe maybe 1920, something like that, they stopped making the over and under feed, and they were replaced by just a standard feed like this pen. So yeah, it may be correct, but all in all, it's still an absolutely stunning nib and a stunning pen. Right, okay, so you people want to see it writing, I'm sure. Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, it's an eyedropper pen. I've actually told you before in other videos how we fill these pens. What we do, we simply unscrew the section like so, and we just pop some ink into the barrel. One thing, while I've got the section in my hand here, again, the earlier versions, some of you may have seen that it had the feed that sort of protrudes out of the section with a piece of wire, twisted wire. Again, they were the early feeds, so they were normally the earlier feeds for the over and under feeds, if you like. It had a long feed with, as I say, a piece of twisted wire which helped with regards to the ink flow. But this one doesn't have it, which isn't unusual. It's still quite normal as far as I'm concerned. So let's bring on some ink. Unfortunately, we don't have a antique eyedropper. What we've got is a syringe, so let's pop some ink into the syringe. Let's pop the syringe into the pen, and there we go. Let's pop some, I think that will do us. Let's put the rest in there. Let's pop the ink to one side. What you may have not noticed, but when I actually restored it, I've just put a slight smidgens of silicone grease to the threads, and that just helps stopping these pens leaking, because again, what we've got is 100-year-old pen. As I say, it's not vintage. We've now got an antique pen. Now you may be sort of watching the video, listening to me and saying, what's he doing? Why is he grabbing this pen like this? The reason I'm doing this, these eyedroppers had a tendency to blob. So because of the way they were designed, sometimes what you'll find is when you come to write with them, they do tend to blob. Now what I'm actually doing here, I'm not being angry with my pen, I'm not being aggressive. All I'm doing is just trying to heat it up slightly. I'm just trying to heat up the air inside the pen, and in some cases that will actually prevent the pen blobbing, and obviously keep the pen upright at all times as well, you know, to save any blobbing as well. So okay, well, whether we've warmed it up, I don't know at this point, but let's give it a bash. Let's see how the pen writes. So what we have is right, well, there we go. We've heated it up so much the ink doesn't want to come out. Right, so what I'm going to do, there we go, I'm going to create a blob. So let's try again. There we go. So it just takes a little bit for the ink to start coming through, because as I say, it's the first time it's been written since I've restored it and cleaned it, etc. So that's quite understandable. So what we have is a Swan, as we said. This is the 1500, and we're dating it. I'm dating it around 1915, so that's questionable. It might be a little bit early, it might be a little bit later. I can feel it as I'm writing. The pen does have some flex, although at this particular, as I'm writing here, I'm writing with a very light hand. So if I put a little bit of pressure on the downward stroke, you can see the downward stroke, we're getting a broad line. So let's do some figure of eights. It's a little bit on the scratchy side, but what I'll do off camera, I'll give it a little bit of smoothing, so hopefully that'll prevent this scratching. But all in all, a lovely writer. Writing with a flexi nib. It's got some variation. I would say writing with a medium line first of all, and by applying a little bit of pressure, as you would expect from these Swan pens, we can get obviously a broader line. Writing a bit scratchy, but no problem. What I'll do, once I've done this video, I will actually give it a little bit of smoothing, so we'll take some of that scratchiness away. So there we have it, an absolutely stunning example of a Swan 1500 eyedropper fountain pen, an antique pen in this black hard rubber, these two gorgeous gold bands in absolutely beautiful condition. Still has the chasing pattern, which is sort of, we can see there, is it's not pronounced, but we can still see it, which is quite unusual. So what we're going to do is try and find this beauty a new home, and then somebody will actually love and enjoy this lovely flexi nib in it, and hopefully write for many more years to come. But for now, I hope you've enjoyed looking at this beauty as much as I enjoy showing you people. Don't forget, leave a comment, don't be shy. But for now, I'm just going to say bye bye now.